Hello, everyone. Math joke for today. You should never start a conversation with pi. Do you know why? It'll just go on forever and ever. Ha! Because pi, the number, never ends. Okay, so let's go ahead and add our final page of notes for Unit 2. You heard it. This is the last page of notes for Unit 2 already. It's a quick one. So this is Lesson 2.4. Multiplying and dividing rational numbers. Page 7. Okay, so I printed off the paper. That's always a choice you have if you have a printer and you'd like to do that. Let's jump right into it. So when multiplying and dividing rationals, we use the same rules for signs as you did for integers. So let's just remember those rules. If we are multiplying or dividing the same sign, our answer is always going to be positive. Whoop, I forgot the pluses on this one. If we're multiplying or dividing different signs, the answer is always going to be negative. So let's just make sure we remember those rules. Okay, so we're going to start by looking at decimals. Here's multiplying decimals and then dividing decimals. The steps are really similar, just slightly different. So I wanted to make sure we wrote them twice. For multiplying decimals, we need to line up the numbers vertically and then multiply. Step 2 is to count the digits behind the decimal in your problem. And then the last step, in your answer, start on the right and count over that many spaces to find the location of your decimal. Now, remember we have those 3 steps. Let's see them in action. So for this one, we're first going to line up the numbers vertically. Remember, this is multiplication because they're squished next to each other. So I'm going to write 3.77 and right below it 2.8. Notice that I have both the numbers lined up, squished up against the right side here. For multiplying, you do not need to line up your decimals. Do not line up your decimals. And then we can multiply just like normal. So 8 multiplied by 7, that's going to give us 56. Carry that 5 over to the next one. 7 multiplied by 8, again, that's going to be 56, plus this 5 we had carried over. So that's going to be 61, carrying over that 6. And then 8 multiplied by 3, that would give us 24, plus the 6 is going to be 30. Make sure your numbers are all lined up here, keeping them in columns. Okay, I like to cross these numbers off to remind me that we aren't using them anymore because we're moving on to the 2. Now we have to multiply the 2 by each one of these. 2 multiplied by 7 is going to be 14. Carry the 1, put the 4 under here. Make sure you start putting your first number directly below where that second value is. So 2 times 7 is going to be 14. So I put my first answer here. Then it's going to be 2 multiplied by 7, 14, plus that 1 from before. So that's going to be 15. Carry the 1. 2 multiplied by 3 is 6, plus that 1 is 7. Now we add. Bring down the 6. 1 plus 4 is 5. 0 plus 5 is 5. 3 plus 7 is going to be 10. To figure out where our decimal goes, we count the digits behind the decimal in your problem. So right here, we have 1, 2 spaces, and then here we have 1. So there's a total of 3 spaces behind the decimals. That means we start on the right and count over that many spaces in our answer. So 1, 2, 3. So that means our answer is 10.556. Okay, pause the video and try the next one on your own. Let's take a look to see how you did. So remember, this is a negative multiplied by a positive, so we have to recall our final answer is going to be a negative. Now we can just focus on the number since we know that the answer will be a negative. So it's 0.43 multiplied by 0.06. Let's start multiplying. 6 multiplied by 3, that's going to be 18, carry the 1. 6 multiplied by 4 is going to be 24, plus 1 would be 25. 6 multiplied by 0 is 0. Add the 2, you get 2. The rest of these are going to be zeros. 0 times 3 is 0. 0 times 4, 0 times 0. Again, these also would be zeros. And then we add those together. We have 8, 5, 2, 0, 0. It's going to be really important that you stay organized so that way you don't mix up your columns there. Now up here, I see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces or digits behind the decimals. So I need to go 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces to find where my decimal goes. Don't forget, the final answer is negative, so negative 0.0258. Awesome. Let's take a look at dividing decimals. Has some similarities, but also a bit different. Again, I highlighted some steps here for you, broke it down into just 3 steps. So first, set up long division, because we don't do this vertically, we do it as long division. Then, here's what's different. Move both decimal points until the fancy word divisor, which is a fancy word for the number on the far left or outside the box, is an integer. Recall that integers are whole numbers. And then we just divide like usual. If you have a hard time with long division, go on Google and just Google long division explanation. There's lots of videos on there. There's ones with songs. There's lots of steps. Also, feel free to come visit me in office hours and we can do some practice on just long division in general. So let's take a look at this first one. We're doing 13.75 divided by 5. So we have 13.75. We want to divide it by 5.5. So the 5.5 is going to be on the outside of the divisor. Remember, what goes in the box is always the numerator or the first number that comes along in your problem. So the second step, move both decimal points until the divisor is an integer. I'm going to use a different color for this. So we want to move that decimal point over. If we move this one over 1, we have to move this one over 1 as well. It's kind of like multiplying a fraction by 10, right? If you multiply the numerator and the denominator by 10, you're not changing the value. You're just making it a bigger number. So like, for instance, 1 over 2, if you multiply the top and the bottom by 10, you'd get 10 over 20. It's still a half. So once we do this, we now have 55 and 137.5. And we can divide like normal. So let's start off by thinking, how many times is 55 Multiply the numerators, 7 multiplied by 5, and the denominators, 9 multiplied by 1. 7 multiplied by 5 is 35, 9 multiplied by 1 is 9. And then let's think, well, how many times does 9 go into 35? Well, 9 multiplied by 3 would be 27, so that means it goes into it 3 times. And then what's left over? 35 minus that 27, that'd be 8 left over. So 3 and 8 ninths. Great job. Go ahead and try the next one on your own. Okay, let's take a look at C. So this one, we have 2 negatives. Remember, that means our final answer needs to be a positive, so be remembering that. Let's take a look. We do have a mixed number we need to make into an improper fraction. So -2 1/3. Well, 2 multiplied by 3 would be 6, plus that 1 up there would be 7 over 3. Don't lose that negative. And then we have -7 over 3, and we need to make that whole number a fraction, so we put it over 1. Now we can multiply. Multiply the numerators, and then multiply the denominators. -7 multiplied by -6 is going to be a positive 42. 3 multiplied by 1 is going to be a positive 3. 42 divided by 3 is going to come out to 14. If you're not sure how to think about that, think about, well, 3 multiplied by 10 would give me 30, and 3 times 4 would give me 12, right? I broke the 42 into a 12 and a 30. You could also just do long division and write it out. Let's try one more, number 4. So this time we have 2 mixed numbers we need to make into improper fractions, 4 and 1/6. Well, 4 multiplied by 6 is 24, plus the 1 is 25. 2 and 8 over 11. 2 multiplied by 11 is 22, plus 8 would be 30 over 11. So now we have 25 over 6 multiplied by 30 over 11. Good, now we can multiply. 25 multiplied by 30 and 6 multiplied by 11. 25 multiplied by 30. You might have to go over to the side here and say, okay, 25 times 30. Comes out to 750. Woo. And 6 multiplied by 11 will be 66. Those are some big numbers. So again, you might have to do some long division. How many times is 66 going to 75? Once. Leaves me with 90. 66 goes into 90 once. Leaves me with 24. So that means I know this is equal to 11 and 24 over 66. Because there was 24 left. Ooh, I can simplify this a bit. So I could divide the top and the bottom by 6. So my final answer is 11 and 4/11ths. Ooh, that one was a doozy. Okay, all we have left is division. Let's move up to the top here. Like I said, there's a little trick here in the dividing. So step 1 is the same as before. Change mixed numbers to improper fractions. And then step 2 is to find the reciprocal. Reciprocal of the second fraction. This word just means that we flip the fraction upside down. And we'll see what that looks here soon. And the reason this works is because multiplication is the opposite of division. And so we are working with that opposite, flipping this upside down, so that way we can end up multiplying just like we did before. And then, just like the multiplying, we multiply the numerators and the denominators. Don't forget to always simplify. Okay, let's take a look at this in action. So the first one, Notice it's a negative divided by a positive, so our final answer has to be a negative. Keep that in mind. And we don't have any mixed numbers, and we don't have any whole numbers, so we are good to go with step 2. Let's find the reciprocal of the second fraction. Reciprocal means to flip this, so that way we can work with multiplication instead. So we have -4/5 multiplied by the reciprocal of that second fraction. We're just going to flip the order. Now we can multiply as usual. -4 multiplied by 12, 5 multiplied by 10. -4 multiplied by 12 is -48. 5 multiplied by 10 is 50. We can divide each of these by 2. So we get -24/25. Okay, let's see that happen again. This time we still don't have any mixed numbers, but we do have a whole number. So remember, we need to put that over 1. Now, step 2, find the reciprocal of the second fraction. 7/9 multiplied by 1/5. So I've heard this fun song. It's a little rap, and so this is the one chance you'll hear me rap. Keep, change, flip. So keep the first fraction, change the sign, and flip the second fraction. So it goes keep, change, flip. Yeah, that's the action. Everybody's gonna know how we're dividing fractions. Woo! Thank you for the applause. I know you're clapping at home. I appreciate it. Okay, so then we can multiply numerators and denominators. 7 is on top, and then 45 is on the bottom. That can't be simplified anymore, so that is your answer. Okay, pause the video and try the next one on your own. Let's see how you did. So this next one, remember, negative divided by negative, your answer is going to be positive. Let's change the mixed number into an improper number. 2 multiplied by 3 is going to be 6, plus that 1 would be -7/3. And we have -7/3 divided by, we have a whole number, so put it over 1. Now we can keep, change, flip. Yeah, that's the action. Everybody's gonna know how we're dividing fractions. And we multiply. -7 multiplied by 1, 3 multiplied by -6. -7's on top, -18 on the bottom. Negative divided by negative. That gives me a positive overall. Great work. Final one. Notice these are all the same numbers from the previous one, so we can use these improper fractions that we did before. 25/6 divided by 30/11, just to save us some time. Did the exact same numbers, just change the signs. And then we keep, change, flip. Yeah, that's the action. Everybody's gonna know how we're dividing fractions. Did I get stuck in your head yet? I hope so. Let's go ahead and multiply. 25 multiplied by 11, it's going to come out to 275 when you multiply that out. 6 multiplied by 30, think about 6 multiplied by 3 is 18. Tag on the 0 on the end. And then we need to break this down. Well, we know 180 can go into 275 once. What's going to be left over? It's going to be 95/180. And then we can divide both these by 5, and you're left with 1 and 19/36. Whew, that one's a doozy. Some big numbers there. Okay, folks, make sure you paste this into your notebook so that way you can use it on the test next week. Have a great day.